I'm up on the screen. Right, so, so, I know you're all super sleepy. That was a lovely lunch, right? That was super, super good. And I know you're just thinking, I just want a little bit of a snooze. I've had loads and loads of input, but we're not doing that. I've only got 30 minutes. I normally like to talk for an hour. And what I would do for a 30-minute talk is like a normal, sensible person. You would go through and you would select and you would craft a new one. No, I keep everything in and I go twice as fast. Yeah. So get settled. There's plenty of seats here. Just come and get settled and relax. And I want to talk to you about stuff. And I want to explain a little bit about myself first so you have a little bit of context. So my name is Gavin Strange. Hello, it's very nice to meet you. And I go by the name of Jam Factory on the Tinternet. I live and work in beautiful Bristol, just southwest, just over there. Whoop, I like that. All the Bristolians in the room. And it's a fantastic place. And I live and work there with my wonderful wife, jewellery designer, creative Jane. By day, I'm a senior designer for Aardman Animations. Now, Aardman Animations is a film studio based in Bristol. It's been there over 40 years now, and it is like a cathedral of creativity. It's known for making things like Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep, Morph, Rex the Run, Robbie the Reindeer, amongst many, many, many other things. And I grew up adoring this place. When I first moved to Bristol, I insisted my friend take me in the pouring rain to show me the offices of Aardman. Because as far as I was concerned, this place was responsible for just this warmth and this love and this honesty and this humour and basically bringing things to life. And what I adore about working there is the simplicity of it. It's the honesty of it. The two guys, they basically met when they were 15 years old, were stuck next to each other in a class and became friends, started experimenting with animation. They don't have any previous animation experience prior to that, apart from creative play. And they built and built and built this business over 40 years. And they're still the guys there. They're still friends. They're still there together holding this place down. And so it makes me feel, so I'm a senior designer for the digital team that I'll come to in a minute. So I'm there, but it makes me feel like I can talk to these people. I can be friends with them. I can make things for them and with them. There's no sort of hierarchical system that would make me feel as a young designer that I can't play along. That's super inspiring. That's super empowering. So basically what I'm going to talk to you about for 30 minutes is just excitement and passion and energy and making things happen. So after I'd woofed down that amazing lunch, I was like, right, I got 20 minutes. I need to see everything in this museum now. So I ran around and saw as much as I could. And this is the thing, and this is what I hope that this talk is going to cover a little bit about today, that some of this stuff is 12 centuries old. That is incredible. That is made by human people, and it's still here to be revered, to be looked at, to be inspiring, to be cherished. Now, I know we all, work in the realm of pixels and stuff, and as soon as we've learned something else, it's redundant. And sometimes it's hard to feel like we can make anything that sticks, but hopefully I think we do have the power to make that, because, okay, the physical presence of whatever we might make, whether it's an app, a VR experience, or whatever it is, I think we still have the ability to make things that have heart and that have soul, and to make lasting memories, to make stuff that affects people. We're super, super lucky, actually, that we've got this ability to, with pictures and words and pixels and light and sound and colour, to connect with people, to make them feel something that could last generations upon generations. When your grandma and your granddad would tell you about this piece of music that they loved, or this entertainer that you've never ever heard of, and you'd be like, yeah, all right, granddad. But it's because it stuck with them, it resonated with them, and then you take it on, whether or not you pay any attention to it. This stuff can travel. It doesn't have to be a physical form. So I just want to get excited and tell you about this stuff. I've totally gone off topic already, but I don't care. So, right, anyway. So what I do at Aardman is I'm a senior designer for the digital team. And that means we take the characters and worlds that Aardman is known for, Wallace and Gromit and Shaun and things like that, and take them into a digital space, whether that's an interactive game or an app, or more recently a VR experience, or sites, or social, or whatever it is. We take that stuff and get it out into the ether in the form of pixels, plasticine to pixels. But as well as that, we're sort of like this sort of design studio within another studio. So we make and create things for other companies, from the BBC to Nickelodeon to Cartoon Network to all sorts of people, all sorts of clients. So it's sort of this dual this dual strand sort of agency almost, which is a really, really exciting place to be, because it just means that we have the power to push things around and to be involved in different projects and with different people. And what I love from a personal level is I've not been afraid to shout about the things I'm really excited about, the stuff that I care about and the stuff that I do in my own time, and then sharing that with the people in my day job. So I'll put my hand up and say, hey, you know me as a digital designer by day, but by night I make films and I do motion graphics and I do character design, because it doesn't hurt to tell people this stuff. If they want to ignore it, they'll ignore it. If they want to listen, they'll have a conversation with you. But if you put your hand up and start shouting about who you are as an individual and what excites you, then you never know what opportunities are going to lead. And again, this is the sort of crux of the talk. And a good example for me is working as a digital designer, doing normally games and apps and things like that. When the Shaun the Sheep movie was in production a few years ago, I sort of put my hand up and just said, look, hey, if there's anything going, if there's anything I could do, I would love to be involved. I mean, they didn't know what to do with me and I didn't know where I could offer my skills, but I just made sure I would regularly check in. You know, I'm excited by this stuff anyway, but say, hey, is there anything I can do? Until actually an opportunity did present itself, because I'd sort of stepped out there and say, hey, if there's anything going, I'd love to be involved. They realized they needed a graphic designer, a motion designer for a sequence in the middle of the film where a character trends on the internet. And that was amazing to be a part of. I was reliving this childhood of I held Shaun the Sheep. You know, this stuff that I still find super exciting. I've been there nearly 10 years now. So it was, you know, I never try and forget that. I think it's really important to hold on to this stuff because it's very, very, very easy to lose perspective. But I want to make sure I'm excited all the time and I just want to put myself out there for any opportunity. So that's the beauty. You just got to keep pushing forward and see where this thing can go. But that's just what I do in the daytime, right? So, you know, we don't all clock off at 6 o'clock and go, well, that's it, I'm not creative anymore, peace. You know, we don't do that. You'll go home and you'll have ideas and you'll start thinking. And what I found is the stuff that you're doing during the day, and whether that's for your own team or for clients, whether you're an individual freelancer or whatever, you know, your brain is working in a certain kind of way. And then, you know, you sort of digest it in a different way at night. And I realized that actually there's this whole world, there's this whole other set of hours in the evening that normally you could watch Emmerdale or flipping Towie or some nonsense like that. Or you could make stuff, you could do stuff, you could experiment, you could play. And I'm not saying that basically you have to work all the time. It's just, I realise actually if you pick your battles, if you decide when and where you want to spend the energy, then you don't know what can happen. So I would just indulge myself in all sorts of things, whether that's graphic design and illustration for things such as bands that I loved or causes that I was interested in. Sometimes that would go into the political, and sometimes that would go into photographic experiments, and sometimes it would be nonsense. It really didn't matter. But then I also realised that actually, as well as me putting my hand up and just saying I'm interested in stuff, there's no one telling me I can or cannot be that disciplined. No one says, well, okay, you've said you're going to be a graphic designer, so that's you forever. Because there's no boundaries. All this stuff is man-made. It's all fiction. We can smash it down if we need to. It's not like a law of nature that we can't bend. We can do whatever we want. So suddenly, you know, if you say to someone, I'm a photographer, they go, oh, cool. They don't go, you sure? No one questions. No one questions you at all. You could say you're anything. It's amazing. I mean, there are limits to this stuff. Within creativity, it's fine. You know, I wouldn't pop into a hospital and go, I'm a surgeon. Here's a knife, sir. Sweet. You know, you've got to sort of pick your battles. You know, just do stuff that won't kill anyone. That's the golden rule. But as you then just find the fact that you can just push your way into things and just get inspired and excited, and then the fact that you feel like you're part of a world inspires you more, because you're like, sweet man, well, if I'm in this world, I want to do really, really, really well. You never coast, because you feel privileged to be in this arena that is new to you, and then you can see where it can take you. So from photography, went to filmmaking, because all of a sudden it's like, actually, you can get these cameras that, like DSLRs that are relatively cheap, and I got one a while back, and found that actually you can make these moving images that look cinematic. And if you can make something that looks cinematic, suddenly you want to make something that is cinematic. So sometimes the technology pushes you further, because it's just these tools that are very easy to access and to get. They'll push you further, and again, you never know where that's going to take you. Sometimes it just starts with silly doodles and excitable things that happen. So I just made, I would always just draw 2 dots for eyes and a smiley face. I'm not very good at drawing realistic human faces, but that doesn't matter. Who cares about style? Your style is yours. And And sometimes it's so overwhelming that you think, well, I can't do it like so-and-so, but who cares? It doesn't really matter. If you forget about that, you'll waste so much time just thinking and worrying about someone else. Actually, if you spend that time just drawing or practicing or doodling or whatever it is, you just realise actually what you make is you. It's very... It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And so I would just sort of see how far I could take these things. So suddenly I thought, well, I would love the physical stuff. Pixels was all good, but I would love to be in a physical space and see if I could take that forwards. And a few of sort of like popping your, putting your name out there and just seeing if things can happen. Actually, collaborations can happen in the way you never thought possible. And then sometimes that can actually lead back into your day job. So all these experiments and things you do in the evening is you can bring them back into your day job, because I wasn't scared to pop my hand up and say, well, actually, I sort of make physical things and characters, and that led me to be involved in this project called Sean in the City and Gromit Unleashed. And sometimes it can take you in a really mental place, and it will make you realise that you can paint and design a giant 4-metre tall Gromit that's painted in the style of a robot mechanoid. You never know. You never know where this stuff is going to take you. It's really, really, really exciting. So, are we all right? Are you okay? Good, because I'm knackered. So I want to share, because I've got so little time, I've so much I want to get through. I want to share with what I feel like I've learned in the past 12 months. And some stuff has happened, and I want to extract what has happened and what I feel like I've learned from it. So I wrote a book, something I never, ever, ever thought was possible, and that I never even considered that I would have the skills to do so. Thanks to talking and kind people like Nomensa letting me be involved in things like this, I've managed to go around the world and see other cultures and meet different people and meet all kinds of folk, which is always just awe-inspiring and mind-bending and eye-opening. Through working with Aardman and then with the project I just showed you, the giant Sean and Gromit sculptures, managed to see how much of a difference graphic design and art and visual stuff can make in terms of charity, in terms of really helping people, the stuff that matters. And actually, you think that, we can't make a difference, but you can, because we have this power of communication. And if you can communicate good messages and get people to do good things like impart money to help people, then that's a fantastic thing. So that's just always really humbling and makes you realise the power that we have as design and creativity. Through a funny series of coincidences, managed to collaborate with a film star. This is Oscar-nominated actress Sally Hawkins, and through again just putting my hand up and just trying to weave my way in with places, ended up doing a charity collaboration with her. Totally surreal, ended up being on the television. A good friend of mine is a creative, an artist, a designer, and he has a TV show on CBBC for kids called Art Ninja. And he needed creative folk, his friends that would join him, make total idiots of themselves and act. And be a part of that. And it doesn't matter what you look like. I look like a total tool all the time. I'm the brunt of all of these jokes constantly. But it doesn't matter. Like, life's too short to get hung up on that stuff. And I'd rather be an idiot and learn something. I'd rather learn about just being in this world. And, through that, I learned about how the hierarchy of a camera crew, of a TV series crew works, and how a director operates with a producer, and how a cameraman operates with a tech person. So actually, you pick up all these skills if you put yourself in these situations that you would normally be utterly terrified of. Talking of being totally terrified, I ended up meeting a princess, quite a famous princess, through just sort of saying yes and trying to be out there and make things happen. Got to do an animation workshop with this lovely lady and be heckled by the future King of England, which is sort of terrifying because you think you might be shot by the SAS at any given moment. But that's a really long story in itself that I'll tell you another time. But the point of all this stuff is I'm not qualified to do any of it. I'm not qualified to do a single part of that. It's actually about making those opportunities. It's about putting yourself out there and seeing what can happen and just being like a yes person and just sort of being, as those opportunities fly by, just sort of being ready to just go out and catch it. And I know this is all floaty, lovely, and going, hey guys, just follow your passion and your dreams. I know that's just squishy nonsense. But actually, I kind of like to be an idealist, but operating in the real world, being a realistic idealist. And I think that's totally possible for all of us because life happens and life is real, and that's the parameters that we operate within. You just kind of got to be idealistic wherever possible, and then concede and go, well, the realistic outcome of this is I need to do it like this. But still, have the passion of an idealist, but be, cynical like a realist. I think it's a nice thing to be both because I think it's totally possible. But if there's anything I want you to take away from today, I don't care if you don't learn anything else, is I want you to know that you can use emoticons in Photoshop layer names. That's the most important thing you need to know today. I like the fact that I got a round of applause. That that shows the content of my talk. Cheers. But anyway, right, okay, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about time and energy, because I kind of think that, as simplistic as it is, I like to think that what we do and what we create boils down to these two things. And time is a funny one, because both of these things are really difficult to come by. I find it super inspiring to look at what other people are doing, what other people have done. If people are famous enough to have a Wikipedia page or something like that, you know, go and look at their path, because you can be damn sure it is not what you think it is. It was not they got from A to B. It was they went here, 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 here. They had total change of careers. They had total failures. They went in a total roundabout way, but they got to where they are for what you know them as, in a totally creative, their own unique way. And I kind of think that you've got to be inspired by this, but don't follow it. Don't follow their path, sort of carve your own. Now, this is just an example of bad parenting, really. What else is going to happen? There's a big fence there and it's on a wheeled object. But, you know, the point is, don't follow it. You've got to kind of carve your own. Because no matter, this is the other universal thing, like, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much money you do have, how much money you don't have, what your upbringing was, what race, nationality, who you are, what language you speak. We all have the exact same amount of time. We always have, we always will do. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I like to think of it as that me and Mozart are time buddies. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, he's a genius. That helps. But he might be a genius, but if he never uses his time to apply himself, how the hell would we ever know? We could all be geniuses, but we don't do anything with the time. Then we'll just sit in a bedroom and just go, I'm a genius, you know. Yeah, all right, go, yeah. Safe. You know, it's not. We've got to find the time to apply ourselves. And I like to just think on the positive side and just take solace in that fact. Because it's not about working longer. It's not about working 23 and a half hours and have half an hour to just sort of have a little bit of a sleep, recharge and get back to it. No way. I think it's about working smarter, because what you create in 3 hours might have the same value as what someone creates in 33 hours. We're all totally different, and it's really sometimes destructive to compare ourselves to others and go, well, you know, wear it as a badge of honor that I've been working for 23 hours straight. You know, it's different for everyone. So actually, I think it is working smarter, not working harder. As a little example, something that I've started with my wife, we knew we wanted to start a business together, but we're already busy. I have my side projects at night, my day job. My wife has her day job as a jewelry designer and then has her side projects as well. And the only way we were going to do it is if we set aside a bout of time, if we knew that we were going to have that evening. So we did that. We made sure every Thursday evening we had time set out for us. So, you know, it's just got to do it. And I think also as a shortcut, if you are, you know, time is tight in the evenings, actually make time to make things that's personal to you. Because then you're not trying to work too much out. If you're just making things that really matter to you, you're making most use of the time because you know you better than anyone else. So for us, for our logo, we used our beloved dog, Aardman, and we turned him into our logo because that's what we know and we love, and it just felt right. Sometimes, you know, when time is tight, just make things that are truly personal to you. And there's a little special slide because we had to say, oh, he passed away a few weeks ago, and it's really this slide's really really emotional because I love him. Look at his little funny little face. But you know, he's going to live on forever and ever in our branding, in our site, in our thing. So this is our online store called strangebristol.com. You should buy some things. Just leave. I might just leave this slide up for a little bit, actually. I haven't got time. Anyway, the point is, it's never, ever, ever too late to start something new. Never, never. These fellas are learning football. Look at them. And it's really easy to compare yourself, but actually, sometimes it really doesn't matter. Jack Kirby didn't write what we know as a modern, great sort of comic book novel until he was 44. Sometimes Henry Russo, like, he was 61 years old, and he was a self-taught painter. He was mocked and ridiculed his whole life. But he carried on going. He didn't find fame until Picasso threw him a party in his later years. Sometimes you have to die. I mean, that's gnarly, but sometimes you don't find fame until death. So, I mean, if you're going to be anywhere, stay this side of this slide. But I'm true to this as well. I don't start anything new. I didn't start flipping skateboard until I was 19. This is how I'm this bad. I didn't start drumming until I was 27. And then this year I thought, oh no, I'm gonna start dancing. I'm just this 33-year-old idiot just in the back of the class going 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm awful. I'm truly, truly terrible. But it doesn't matter, and I feel silly, but it doesn't matter. You've just got to start these things because it might take you in a different direction. I'm better at designing skateboards than I am riding them. But you cannot let it stop you. You cannot let this stuff even stop you beginning, because who cares what you look like? Who cares if you're an idiot? Who cares if you can't do it? Like, just get involved, just get stuck in and embrace the fact you look like an utter tool. So I'm going to talk about energy. I really reckon 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes to talk about this. Let's do it. Okay, we've got 40 slides in 10 minutes. Smash. Okay, so your energy is a currency. Spend it wisely. And what I mean by that is you've really got to invest in stuff. It's really difficult to come by energy. It really is. It's hard to store. It's hard to find. Treat it as this precious object and decide where you are going to place it, where you are going to spend it. It's really, really difficult to come by. Treat it like you are going to level up. Treat it as, well, actually, I'm going to identify a place in my life to get to next as a little level. Don't just map out this mad, huge plan of where you're going to go. Actually, make sure that you can make it as achievable chunks. Treat it like a video game. And then sort of maybe imagine a big boss in the future somehow. Like, take these things small, because that's an easier way to break it down, to make it achievable. Because otherwise, we're just swimming in this, well, I want to be over here in my life. And how the hell do you get there? Make it achievable. But just don't get stuck on the pause menu. As soon as you've got momentum and you've found the energy to get momentum, make sure you keep on doing stuff. That's the hardest bit, to get started in the beginning. That, you know, momentum is really, really difficult to come by. So once you've got it and you've found it and you've got the energy, make sure you keep on going. Because change is really, really difficult. This fella's turning into a car and he does not look happy. Well, that's the point. Change is really difficult. It's really uncomfortable. We like being comfy. That's why it's called comfy. But change is not comfy at all. You have to resist. You have to sort of fight against resistance. But that's the point. You have to, if you're going to fight against resistance, you have to have the energy to do so. And if you don't have the energy because you're tired all the time or you're not really thinking where to focus it, then you won't be able to change anything. It's sort of like storing all this stuff up to be like, right, I'm going to smash the flip out of it now. You've kind of got to find these things because it really, really, really is difficult. And be positive along the whole way as well. I think it's a lot easier if you're just positive about the things you love, the things you're doing, the people you look up to. The internet's full of negativity. A friend of mine once said, never ever read the bottom half of the internet. And he is totally true. It's full of absolute tools. So you've got to stay positive all the time. Dave Grohl said it best. He says, forget guilty pleasures. How about just pleasure? Being honest with things and not being too caught up in what people think of you and all this. Just doing what you want to do and just embracing things and shouting about it and being positive. So there's this time where all this stuff combines. Timagy, I'm sure that's a flipping word, I don't really know. Where these things combine, and there's this great quote that says, opportunity does not knock, it presents itself when you beat down the door. And you do, there's 6 billion plus people on this planet. You have to work really hard to stand out because there's a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot of people that want those, so you just have to shout the loudest. This happened when I approached a company called the Do Book Company after attending their Do Lectures and asked I would love to write a book because I was so inspired by a book that I'd wrote. Jesus. You wouldn't think I was an author, would you? Can't do the words. A book I had read called Do Purpose and was so inspired I wanted to write my own. But then once I had the opportunity and they said, yes, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do the graphic design. I wanted to do the illustration. I asked if I could do the photography. I wanted to make a film to sum it all up. I wanted to make an audio book because if you're going to get these opportunities, you really have to, you just want to impress people. You just want to do the best job you possibly can be because who knows where it's going to lead. These opportunities are precious things, so I think you really have to grab them. And that, for me, means that there was a book out there with my flipping name on it. If I tell my mum I'm making interactive VR experiences, she'll say, what? If I go, I wrote a book, she'll go, ah. It's just a little plug just in case you just sort of fancy picking it up. Right, I've got 5 minutes. So, what I want to kind of summarise all this is that actually you've just got to get out there. Look is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You've really got to take advantage of all these things. You can teach yourself. We can all go out there, learn new things. We can be patronised by 12-year-olds on YouTube right away and learn a new skill. And that's wonderful. We can do that. We can learn anything new at any given point. I try and do different stuff myself, whether it's sign painting, pixel art, motion graphics, and just trying to do new projects and discover new ways to make things work. But the point is, all of this stuff is free. It's so accessible. It's so easy for us to come and get it. Find people who share a like-minded vision to you, whether that they are going to teach you or put yourself out there for you to teach them. Mr. Cartoon said it best. He says you cannot learn nothing when you're speaking. And what he means by that is actually sometimes when you're in the presence of these people that you love and adore, that actually sometimes it's best to be silent. Sometimes it's best to just observe. And you want to fulfill this thing of where you're like, I want to put my hand up and shout about so I know people think I know what I'm talking about. You've got this desire to do it, but actually it's best sometimes just to be quiet and just to observe and just to learn. I did that recently on a project this year. I co-directed a title sequence film with a fantastic animation director and animator at Aardman called Merlin Crossingham, and I learned so much in just 3 months because it was a totally new experience, and I just observed him and watched things happen. So I think we've got to be fluid and flexible going forward. I kind of think it's weird that every year we get the new iPhone, yet sometimes we don't change our opinions and we don't change the way we look at the world, and we don't, you know, sometimes we made a decision when we were 20 years old and go, well, I'm going to stick with that until I'm dead. Why? Why would you? That's a silly thing, you know. So sometimes we have to force ourselves just to take a step back, but be flexible, be moldable, be kind, be really kind. Not like this jerk, he's absolutely horrible. You know, go forwards and be kind to other people and share things. Just as hard as we have to work to get all this input, work just as hard to filter it all out, because the internet is full of absolute nonsense. We really, really have to focus and get as many tools as we can, just as many tools to be creative and productive. We have to work just as hard to filter all that nonsense out. Failing is not a bad thing. Failure is not a negative. This is a massive failure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that kid left his brother for dead. That's gnarly. But if all these smart people are talking about failure, then they must be onto something, right? If these super smart, amazing people are just embrace failure, then maybe failure's okay. Maybe it's okay to mess up and actually make that a part of who you are, because you aren't going to learn until you absolutely stuff something up and go in a totally different direction or iterate. So the point is that you never, ever, ever know what's around the corner. And that's a super exciting thing. Like to live in this constant state of fun and fear. To be like, oh my God, everything's amazing. I don't know what my job is in my inbox. To, oh my God, I haven't got any work for the next 6 months. I'm going to be on the dole. You know, at least it means you're feeling something. At least it means you're alive. At least it means that you're just ready for that next opportunity. You've just got that energy inside you. And as we said, that energy is so important to have and to hold. So I would really advise to get in a constant feedback loop, to constantly assess who you are. Are you happy? Are you making stuff that's going to be in a museum in 12 centuries' time? Are you pursuing things that you really, really want to do? Because life is too short not to. You know, make sure you are in that constant loop just to assess who you are, what you want to do, and just go forward with a positive energy and momentum. Because I know it's corny, I know it's fluffy, but I like being fluffy. I like being idealistic. That happiness is way, way more valuable than money. It is rare, but it is universal. It's, you know, I think like a pound is now worth about, what, 3 cents or something. You know, the economy is tanking in every other single way, but actually happiness isn't. If anything, happiness is probably way, way more valuable now because there's lots of idiots around. So, you know, you've really got to take control and just make things that make you happy, make others happy, make your company happy. You know, we can apply all this nice, fluffy, idealistic stuff to the companies that we work in, to the businesses that we start, to the things that we want to run and things that we want to do. So I think that if you make the time and you create the energy that you need, then you can be your best self and you can make the best stuff. Now, I've been waffling on about this, and I think the best person to summarize all of this is a thinker, is a speaker, is a creative force that we all know and love, that can summarize this way better than I ever can. It's the sloth of inspiration. See, he knows. Thanks ever so much, London. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Good luck.
Are you going to stay around for drinks and stuff?
I've got to disappear. Got to run back to London. We're just having a little chat, sorry.
Right, so we are that was 60 minutes and 30 minutes.
I did it. It's 3 o'clock on the dot.
You did.
Yes!
Good. That was very, very good. Does anyone have any questions?
Are you Banksy?
Yes! There's another question there.
I think we should package up your presentation and send it to every secondary school in the whole country.
I would love that. Don't get me started on education. I would like that.
This is what my daughter needs to hear. She needs
Oh.
to hear this passion, this enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very kind. Thank you very much.
How's your happiness now, eh?
I'm super stoked. I'm all excited. Is that cake?
That's great. Right, and one final round for Jam Factory.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really, really appreciate it. Woo-hoo.